Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Wednesday, January the 14th, 2026, and it's 6:30 in the morning if you're watching this live. I'm going to say Happy New Year if I haven't told you that already. We're already 14 days into the new year. Can you believe that? 14 days. I want to say Happy New Year to you all. Every Wednesday at 6:30 in the morning, I go live on YouTube to talk about self-care at work. And one of the reasons like I talk about self-care at work specifically is that most times people don't put those two together, right? They think that, self-care is things that you do in the morning or things that you do in the afternoon, which is true. That is part of self-care. Rarely do people practice self-care at work while they're at work. And that is what I come on every Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. People may say, why so early? Because I'm trying to catch people in the morning so that they can get this little nugget and use it that day. So that's why I start so early in the morning. But let me ask you something real quick, right? Have you ever sat at your desk, opened your email, and thought, why am I supposed to care about this spreadsheet when the world feels like it's on fire, right? Everything that's going on, you're like, why do I care about this? And if that's you and you're thinking, am I the only person who feels that way? You're not. You're not broken. You're human. And today we're going to talk about self care at work when the outside world feels chaotic, when the news is heavy, when life feels uncertain, and work now still expects you to show up like everything is normal. That's what we're talking about today. And let me just say that this is not a toxic positivity conversation. I'm not here to tell you to just be grateful, push through, or ignore what's happening around you. I'm not going to tell you that. That's not what this is. This is about how you protect your energy, your mental health, and your capacity while still doing what you need to do at work. That's what this is. Because one of the hardest things about working during chaotic times is the disconnect. The world feels loud, heavy, unpredictable. And work still wants your deadlines, right? You're like, are you watching the news? You still want my deadlines? You still want meetings? You still want productivity? Are you watching the news? You still want emotional regulation? Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a perceived overwhelm. So when the outside world feels unsafe or unstable, your body is already in survival mode before work even starts. Now, let me be clear that self care at work is not escaping reality, right? It's not about pretending that nothing is happening. It's about creating enough stability inside yourself so the chaos outside doesn't consume you. See, when the world feels chaotic, self care becomes less about bubble baths and more about boundaries, grounding, and permission. Now, I'm going to talk about three grounding self-care practices that you can start practice on in chaotic times. Because when everything feels overwhelming, your job is not to carry the whole world. And I want you to ask yourself, this is the first practice, is what is actually mine to handle today? today. Focus on today, not next week, not next month, but today. That's the first one. Ask yourself, what is actually mine to handle today? And then you focus on one task at a time, one meeting at a time. Shrinking your world is not avoidance, it's survival. So during chaotic times, when it's chaotic outside, and you're trying to ground yourself and your nervous system, the first practice that we're going to talk about, I call it shrink your world on purpose, is you ask yourself, what is actually mine to handle today? The second one is you want to create predictability where you can, right? Chaos thrives in uncertainty. That's the thing of chaos, is everything's uncertain. Nothing feels stable. Nothing feels normal. But the second practice is create predictability where you can, because self-care thrives in predictability. So here are some simple workday anchors that you can do. The same morning routine, the same first task of the day, the same end of the day shutdown ritual. When the world is unpredictable, your routine becomes your anchor. So the second practice is create predictability where you can, where you control. You can control the same morning routine. You can control the same first task of the day. You can control the same end of the day shutdown routine. And you do that over and over, predictability, because the routine in that is what becomes your anchor. And the third practice I'm going to talk about today is lower the bar without lowering your worth. And this one is especially important to those high performers, right? Because we thrive in doing our best at all times. But doing your best during chaotic times does not look like doing your best during calm times. It doesn't look the same. You want to perform at that same level, right? Because you're a high performer. But when it's chaotic times, your best doesn't always look like your best when it's calm times. So you have to establish when good enough work is still good. That you don't need to over explain your exhaustion, and that rest is not something you earn, it's something you need. Your worth does not decrease because your capacity changed. A lot of times we think that, what we can take on is tied to our worth, and that's not true. And I'm going to give you a permission slip, if you will. Here's your 6:30 a.m. permission slip. And let me say this clearly, because someone out there needs to hear it. You are allowed to take care of yourself without waiting for the world to calm down. I'm going to say that again. You are allowed to take care of yourself without waiting for the world to calm down. You don't need permission from your job, the news, or anyone else to protect your peace. That, my friend, I am giving you that permission slip to embrace that, to take that, to walk with that today. Self-care at work during chaotic times isn't about doing more. It's about doing what's necessary to stay well. Now, I would love, in the comments, if you can tell me, what's one thing that's been draining your energy at work lately. Even if you're watching this on replay, put that in. What's one thing that's draining your energy at work lately? And if this conversation helped you feel even a little more grounded, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel, because this one, is a safe space for stressed out workers. And if you know someone who's struggling to show up at work while the world feels heavy, please share this with them. They're probably carrying more than they're saying. Until the next time, protect your energy, honor your capacity, and remember that taking care of yourself is not optional, it's essential. I'm Belinda Harris, and I will see you at the next video.